Okay, yeah, I have to fix my leg because Kelly was like, "Why are you man-spreading the whole time?"
You know what? Show them the goods.
I was like, "There's nobody
Show them
near
the
me,
goods.
so I'm just
It's all
doing
right.
this." And she was like, "Why are you man-spreading?" I was like, "Okay, you know what? Let me."
Yeah, I did realize like one time in an old episode with two, I had short shorts on, and it was like. And so the whole episode it was just like, it was like super distracting.
It's like this guy's over his Speedo, bro.
And then like some people commented on it. I was like, oh man, all right, sorry about that. But you know what? Well, frick it, whatever gets the engagement.
It's for all of my people who be fighting depression. When you think about your life, you can't help but to stress it. Counting all your failures, but never counting your blessings. I've been feeling lost and I need a sense of direction. Cover up my pain with them bottles and prescriptions. It don't ever work, the next day wonder why I did it. Trying to fight this battle, but can't escape what I'm feeling. Hard to open up when you can't explain what
All
you're
right,
doing.
no eggs. This is episode 2, and
I think we're like at 40.
Oh shit! I mean,
Yeah.
episode 2 of season 2.
There we go. Yeah.
official episode
Okay.
2. We've had other episodes too before.
Oh yeah. A bunch of episodes
Yeah.
that yeah.
Oops. We just like to keep everyone guessing.
Yeah.
But Pheng has this amazing idea to get us all introduced to the audience. So each of us are going to take different turns, kind of making these first few episodes ours. And so you'll mostly hear from me today. So sorry if you don't like me.
No, and you know what I realized too is like in that first episode we didn't talk about like your professions and stuff like that, but you guys are like you guys work in the mental health field, which is one of the reasons why I brought you guys on, because like you guys have this background and and we're a mental health podcast. We're a men's mental health podcast. And I think that you guys bring in a lot of value. It is May. And May is
Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's very busy in my field, at least what I'm doing right now. But yeah. Keep going.
Yes. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there just because we didn't cover that in that first episode. I think we were just having too much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just kind of went off tangent and we were just
Which is okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, Danny.
No, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about what we do. Cam, you're in mental health.
Right.
You're super busy. What do you do?
Yeah.
This is really dope what you do.
So my primary role, I do work for an insurance company, but my primary role is I help set up mental health seminars for clients across the United States. And those seminars ranges from anything from like depression, anxiety, all the way to workplace issues, management styles, even nutrition. And again, what I do is I help kind of create the seminars also, and also coordinate with different providers within their region. And then, when companies come to us, they consult with us just to see what kind of seminars would best fit their needs for their audience. And then, I reach out to people, kind of build connection, build rapport, get to know these clients, and, make sure the providers that I do set them up for is prepared, and they'll deliver the seminar. That's my primary role. Of course, I got a bunch of different administrative stuff too. But for me especially, it's been really, really busy because usually, we do ask our clients to, give us their requests within, like 4 to 6 weeks. But there's just been a bunch of stuff going on where they're like, hey, we need something next week. Hey, we need something in a couple of days. Hey, and we do our best to accommodate. And luckily for me, everything's been working out pretty well. But May has just been super, super busy. And we just started. What is it? I mean,
May 3rd.
Yeah, we're recording on like the 3rd. This is like the third or fourth day
we
into
just
May.
Started, and man, I've just been flooded with different requests, and I just have to kind of maneuver with all these different clients. Yeah, it's been busy, but it's very, very, very fulfilling.
Yeah.
Damn. So Cam's the guy to get into all of this because, you're the one that's picking all these guests and talking to them and kind of filtering them through. So if y'all know anyone, it's Cam.
And Dani, you are a therapist?
Yes.
Yeah, and we've had a few different therapists on the podcast, but
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I'm a marriage and family therapist. I work with couples, individuals, families, minors, and all of that. So it encompasses everything. but my sole focus is couples and families.
Yeah.
So it's just, I feel like it's such a privilege to be able to talk to folks, because sometimes they'll say things like, this is the first time I'm ever sharing this with anyone.
Yeah.
And to get insight into people's lives, it really is a privilege. And I'm so honored and touched by them being able to share and say, to feel safe and to even share.
That is really cool what you do. And I don't know, maybe seeking you out, especially in the family,
Yeah.
component of
of
see.
what you do.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, update from last time, maybe you can give me some insight on this. We did talk about my daughter. You know how I said that she
yeah.
had
Oh yeah.
she got a love letter.
boy.
So
Yeah.
she did tell me something, and she made me promise to not tell mom.
Oh,
Right, but she
okay.
does.
When
so
this
She
episode
does
airs.
have a boyfriend.
No way.
Yeah,
What?
and it's like cutesy stuff.
Yeah.
And mom, and of course I told mom. We don't keep secrets from each other, especially when it comes to our kids. So I did tell mom. But the more I think about it, and mom's always been more against the idea of it, and I've been more pro it. But the more I think about it, right, and so when they talk about like fight sports and boxing, they say the best time to get young people involved into like boxing and fight sports is like when they're like 6, 7, 8 years old, right? And because essentially they learn the mechanics, but they're also not old enough or big enough or physically mature enough to do any actual physical harm to each other. And so when I think of my kindergarten daughter dating, right? They're not old enough to actually
Know what that means.
to like, be missing school or potentially having sex or anything like that. They're only like still so young, but I think the upside is she can learn like what she likes in a relationship. She can learn what she likes in a partner. And I know that's still like young and stuff,
It's
but
super young.
like I kind of like the idea. I don't know. Me and my wife, we've been kind of going back and forth about this and having conversations. What's okay and what's not okay. But I think as a young person, just like I said, the potential upside is pretty good, and they're still they're still too young for any of the potential like bad stuff, right? I don't know. You as you guys as
real
professionals, what's your take on that?
Oh, I have a lot.
Yeah. No. I would defer to Dani.
Yeah.
I would defer to Dani. I don't know.
I have a lot of mixed feelings about this, right? But I think it's so important. The most important thing here is that your daughter trusted you enough to come talk to you, right?
Yeah.
So we want to create that foundation of trust with her, because this isn't an issue, right? She felt enough trust to share with dad and say, hey, this is what's going on in my life, right? So I would say continue to invest in that trust, right? And not so that you can manipulate and get insight into her life, so that there is, value when she shares with you later down the road, right? When she's older, when she's like, Dad, my heart is breaking. And then that's when you can go in and kind of hold her and love her, right? Right now you're kind of building that foundation. And so, yeah, I think it's important that she comes to you and says, I have a boyfriend, and you understand, conceptually that doesn't mean that she's doing all these grown things.
Right. Yeah. And she's young, and I think they're just exploring these ideas, And I think she sees mom and dad and everything else. Yeah.
Exactly. So ask her like, oh, what does it mean, for you to have a boyfriend? What do you like about how, go in with curiosity rather than this is what you should do, right? Ask her like, oh, why do you think it's important to have a boyfriend?
Yeah.
It's wild. I was gonna say. I think it's also. I was gonna say. I think it also has to do with because she's a girl too, and she's more emotionally involved maybe.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I was in also first or kindergarten, like the guys that I was talking, I was into like Pokemon, all the like playing outside, playing with dirt. And then like one of my other friends like, oh yeah, I have a girlfriend. I was like, what the hell are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
What? And he's like, oh, you don't? I'm like, wait, am I supposed to?
Yeah.
What? I was still at that point where I was like, ew, girls are icky. And this guy was already like, oh, I have a girlfriend. Yeah. I was like, what? Get out of here. And then they would just hold hands up in the playground. And that was it. It was just really like, innocent, just, I guess for the label sometimes too. And
Yeah.
and maybe people just, I don't want to say mature because they're still literally a first graders, but
Yeah.
it's just different for everyone, I guess. I didn't care for girls until like maybe middle school.
Yeah.
Then
Oh,
again,
I wanted a girlfriend so bad in second grade, dude. I was crushing on some girl so hard. She broke my heart. Oh, man.
man.
But she was probably in that position where she was like, I don't know what I'm like. What? Like a
Yeah.
boyfriend? What?
And
But-
so, like, you made a great point, right? At that age, maybe you weren't acclimated to boyfriend or girlfriend or relationships yet, right?
Right.
That kid, maybe he did grow up hearing it. So
That's true, and
It's-
I'm pretty sure it's the way we were brought up too. Because
Yeah.
in our household, we didn't really show any type of emotions too much, or love, or kissing or anything. That's probably why. Now that I think about it, yeah, damn. I'm just I'm just learning about myself.
Sorry
Thanks,
to
Dani.
kind of like start
Thanks,
the
Dan.
podcast with that,
No,
but I figured,
that's so cute.
since we talked about it like last week, I'd just kind of give you guys a little update, and that'll kind of
Oh, I love that.
open it up into, and especially like, it's surrounding what you do as a profession.
Yeah. Okay, circling back to professions, we're gonna touch back on this.
Yeah.
But Peng, let us know what you do.
I'm just I am a receiver of mental health.
Oh, that's the best profession
Yeah,
there is, dude.
So I receive mental health. I guess
Education, counseling.
clinicians, or I don't know. I have a therapist that I meet bi-weekly, and then I have a psychiatrist that I meet. I think monthly, bi-monthly, and so I've realized like it's helped me a lot, and I've kind of started that about like 2-3 years ago. I wouldn't say I'm any kind of professional when it comes to therapy, but I just there's a lot going on in my life. I'm a small business owner. I still have a 9 to 5. I have a family to maintain, a podcast to help run with you guys. So there's a lot going on, and then having a therapist just kind of helps me kind of just focus and puts things into like categorizes, and then it also gives me a place to like voice out concerns and my thoughts. And sometimes the world is not, it's better than voicing it out into the world or into the ether, and where you can potentially be judged. And so having a therapist that I can kind of reflect and just kind of, talk
So
to.
Peng never sleeps, y'all.
Yeah.
He has a 9 to 5, and then he has his bee farm and his
Yeah.
farm and his
this.
and his kids and his
Yeah.
wife, and so he sleeps maybe negative 3 hours
Yeah.
a month.
And that's partially why like my mental health is deteriorating. Like you'll see from like the first season to now, like look at me, like my my hair is becoming like worse and worse, like less and less unkept.
To be fair,
I'm like
you still
eating
look good,
less.
though.
I'm like, look, I'm in shorts and a shirt, and they're all like properly well dressed.
This is what it
but-
looks like to work hard.
Yeah. And there's just a lot going on, and right now I think as a father, I think my goal is just to kind of take care of other things, and then I will, and then self-maintenance is not one of my top 5 to-dos right now. But we'll get back around there hopefully once the kids are grown and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, whatever. But yeah, so I am I'm a receiver of mental health. I don't know. I don't know what you
you're
call
a
it.
man of many traits.
I'm a patient.
Yeah,
Man,
he's a patient. Oh my gosh. No, Peng, that's a great segue into what we're talking about today, right? Like you mentioned, today, this month is Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's also AAPI month.
Yeah.
So it's a crossover of y'all
Yeah.
Yeah, and you
and me, right? So let's talk about that, since hustle culture is so big, right? Especially as we are entering that period in our life where that societal pressure is coming down on us to hustle. And it's like, okay, you need to have a house, you need to have a career, you need to have a family, you need to have this, this, and this. And so let's talk about the hustle culture, and let's hear from both of you. And
yeah, I mean, I would say that it's exactly like you said. I think we live in a place where I think people believe that at a certain age you're supposed to have X, Y, and Z, and at some point in your life things are supposed to happen for you. I have a house, / farm that I own with my wife. I'm married. Then I have two young daughters. So like on the outside, looking in, I think somebody will look and say, "Oh man, this guy's kind of doing it.
This guy's got it."
Yeah,
Right.
But I think the reality is that for most people, they're struggling just as hard as anybody else, and they're just trying to figure things out too. Because I wouldn't say my business is successful. I'm doing a ton of stuff, and I'm getting a ton of opportunities. But if you look at money coming in and money coming out, shit, I'm in the red, So I'm still spending more money and spending more time than I am getting, than I guess like what it's worth. And then on top of that, running the podcast, trying to be a family man, and I got like major daddy issues, so I'm trying to be like super dad for my kids. And then also trying to be super husband for my wife. And so all of that takes time, and it takes effort, and it takes a lot of work. And those for me at the moment are all non-negotiables. And so the only thing left that is negotiable is sleep. And that's what you mentioned earlier was where I get negative sleep, and sometimes I do feel that way. But yeah, and I would say that a lot of that is a pressure. I don't know if it's a societal pressure.
Where did you learn to build that internal pressure? Because are you feeling the same pressure?
I don't have as much responsibilities, so I don't feel all the pressure. But back to what you were saying, I am the outside looking in, where people are like, "Oh, this guy's got it all. He's got a family." I don't even have a house, dude.
Yeah.
I'm the guy that's outside, that's looking in. I'm like, "Oh shit!" It's always kind of the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not where I want to be. I mean, just like you said, societal pressure. I'm about to turn 34. I should have a house by now. Probably should have had a kid like 7 years ago. I don't have a kid either, or whatever, So the pressure is building a little bit, because as we get older, time is a major factor. Especially, because a lot of people, you don't want to have kids when you're too old, and also with biology and all that stuff. So we are feeling the pressure.
And I think most people in our community do. Like, I think a lot of people in our circle, of course, because we're all in our mid-30s.
Yeah.
Like, I think we hang out with people that are also around our similar age. And I think that's like, it's not a secret, right? It's something that we all kind of talk about.
Yeah.
Is that where we want. Yeah, we want to have our own place. We want to own our own house. We want to be doing things that make our lives fulfilled, right?
Yeah, and it's also because like the pressure. I wouldn't want to say pressure from our friends, but it is a thing, because if you think about it, all your friends, they're getting married, they're having kids, and what do? It's a Saturday. I woke up at 3 p.m. and I just ordered pizza. And
hey man, you're running a podcast, dude. yeah, you're doing great things.
It's just every now and then you think about it, it's like, man, maybe I should have a kid, because now you think about now if I have a kid, your kids would be like 7. How's Lauren right now?
She's about 7.
Yeah. And then
Six.
but the good thing is that I'm gonna come to him for babysitting duties. Like,
I got you, man. You gotta pay up.
I'll pair her with bees. I'll just buy a bunch of bees.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's just Yeah, the pressure it comes it comes from everywhere subtly.
Yeah.
Like it's not just from one specific source.
And it's
Yeah.
different types of pressures,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because you mentioned pressure from the outside looking in,
Yeah.
right? And Peng's pressure is like you're on the inside
think-
and you have this pressure.
Yeah, and I think my pressure is like very or internal, where I think I have a lot of like trauma with my family and stuff. So it's like, oh, let me not be like my dad, and so I'm trying to be like super dad and super husband to my family. But what about you, Danny? I think because you hear from us two guys, right? But I think there's like you guys as women probably especially in the Asian community,
way more than us. I'm sure
yeah,
you guys get a lot more.
like externally, probably like super heavy. And I know you touched on that like in the past, but like talk about that about some of
definitely.
how you're feeling.
I think, a lot of what you both touched on is the pressure to prove ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of the pressure to prove ourselves definitely comes from external sources. So family and friends, and then seeing family and friends achieve these milestones, you start to internalize that, right? And so absolutely, my siblings, they're all moving forward with their life. And again, I'm 34 with you're married, right?
Yeah.
So you have a wife.
Yeah.
So you're on your way.
Yeah.
You're on that path. And my parents look at me and they're like, oh God, what do we do with this one?
Yeah. Are all your siblings married too?
All my siblings except my youngest sister.
Okay.
Which is, she's my younger sister.
Yeah, okay.
And
Yeah.
but she bought a house and she lives with her boyfriend.
Okay.
And they're on that same path
Oh, yeah.
towards, that
Yeah.
trajectory of that what society wants.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So everyone's looking at you now.
Yeah, everyone's like, ma'am, what are you doing out here?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm out here.
Trying to live.
Yeah.
I'm out here surviving.
Yeah.
So audience, if you're surviving too, know that you're not alone. And so pressure, whether you're single, married, been married for several years with kids, right? All of it comes down. And then once I started navigating my own internal landscape, that's when the pressure started coming off. And I was like, you know what? There is no rush. I love how you say should, right? There's so many things we should. And there's we should be doing a lot, right? You should hold yourself to high regards and standards, but not based on anyone else's thoughts.
Right.
And that's the conclusion I've come to, where it's like, where is this pressure coming from? Oh, society. Oh, my family. Oh, my parents. Yeah, I do want to make them proud, right? Because being Asian, I still want to make my family proud. But then other than that, it's like, no, I'm doing what I need to. And I'm not out here being a horrible human.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
I think,
At the very least. Yeah. At the very least. Yeah.
I'm not the devil. So
Yeah.
I think that's good enough for me.
I think
Yeah.
that's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Because
mean,
there's a lot of people that can't say that. Yeah,
Right.
at the very minimum. Yeah,
I'm not out here scamming, lying, cheating.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
And there's people that seem like they got their shit together that are doing all of that.
yeah,
Exactly.
because I've always been one for just to go against the societal norm too.
Yeah.
'Cause I actually hate that because like even yesterday, we had a function. It was my nephew's birthday, and then every now and then people would come. When are you gonna have kids? You guys, you've been married for this many long. How old are you? I'm like, it's not really none of your business, but it's how old I am. I'm like, I'm not in a rush. Because they were like, oh, I had kids when I was 22. Good job. But it's just one of those things. It's like, it's because people were we were like programmed since we were kids. Like, hey, get a family, get a house, have 2-3 kids. They were trying to sell us the American dream still. Back when I was a kid, at least the white picket fence and all that stuff. And I'm like, as I grew older, I realized I don't even care.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do what I really want. But you still get that pressure, the unwanted pressure, unsolicited, whatever, and they'll just come out of nowhere. And then from family or in-laws or whatever, like, hey, when are you gonna have kids? When are you gonna do this? I'm like, soon.
So how do So like, what are you like? Do you guys have? How do you guys respond to that? Like, because I'm sure you get that at family functions, and you were talking about how you got that yesterday.
I personally, I used to care more. I used to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna think about this is what we're doing, so we want to get this out the way and do that. And now I just smile and just nod.
Yeah. See, yeah.
That's what I do
Yeah.
now. It's because I've heard it so many times.
Yeah.
So I just smile and nod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I always get like people saying, "Oh, we're gonna hook you up with a nice
Ooh.
man."
Ooh.
Eh,
Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, yeah, if you, hey, the thing is, I'm not gonna disagree and be like, oh no, don't find me a nice man.
Yeah.
That's stupid, right?
Yeah.
Be like, I just agree and like him.
Yeah.
Sure. Go ahead, find me a nice man.
Yeah.
Like I will be the judge of that.
Right.
Nice young man when he comes into my life, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't think it doesn't hurt to just nod and agree, right?
Yeah.
And be like, cool, it gets them off.
Yeah.
Because if I were to sit there and be like, arguing?
Yeah, it'll just make a scene. It'll just make the whole family event awkward.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to think about picking your battles. Because
Yes.
is it really even worth kind of like, shut up. Why are you asking me? This is your third time you fucking telling me this. You know, it's
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, I just nod and smile. Yeah.
Yep. And I think, our uncles and aunties just like to give advice.
Yeah.
So,
And they mean well, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
They
Then I
do.
guess they don't know what they're I guess they don't realize what they're saying in that moment is like potentially, I don't know, like hurtful or something like
Right.
that, you know?
Because they don't understand our whole life, right?
Yeah.
And I look at it as if when my nieces and nephews,
Yeah.
when they're, my age, will I be giving them advice? And I already do that to my little cousin
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, why am I being so cringe? Girl, and when I remember, I'm like, go ahead and do what you need to do. Because at the end, I'm going to be here for you,
Yeah.
right? I'm going to support you no matter what you do, no matter what path you decide to take. If you mess up, the thing is, you have me.
Yeah.
And that's it. So that's, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always wondered that, and because I think I never really had that just because like I said, on the outside looking in, like,
It's because you had it always.
yeah,
know.
man. Hey,
He's been winning at
I'm
life.
a good Hmong boy, all right? Yeah, I am
exactly.
I'm the classic good Hmong boy,
Yeah.
man. I'm every parent's dream.
And
Okay?
you are.
Yeah.
They'll look, hey, I want you to be like this guy right here.
Yeah.
Just show a picture of you back in your bodybuilding days.
Yeah.
Be like him. Look at, he's
Yeah.
got it all.
Every parent's dream, of
Yeah,
course.
literally, you live on a farm, you have a wife, 2 kids,
Yeah.
you have a job, you have your own business.
Yeah.
That is like the perfect
Yeah.
Hmong boy.
You're not
Yeah.
laying around playing Call of Duty till 3
Yeah.
a.m.
Yeah, but then
funny.
they see all of my demons and stuff like that come out in their own various ways, and then they're like, "Oh, maybe not."
No, let's
Yeah.
talk about that, right? Because growing up Asian, you guys were taught about manhood in specific ways, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So what are you guys unlearning now as men that you were taught?
You know, I think which is different. I had a very non-traditional route when it comes to like manhood, because my father left pretty early, and so like I never attended a lot of like Hmong events.
Oh, yeah.
So then I didn't go, and I wasn't drinking at a young age. I wasn't there sitting in tables and pouring out drinks for people, whatever that occurs there. Like, because I never did that, I kind of defined what masculinity was for myself. And so, I had the privilege of being able to do that for myself. And so from a young age, like I've always sought out, I guess like father figures in like, in my wrestling coach, in like my Boy Scout leaders, and like in adult male figures. And I was able to kind of pick and choose like what things seem to work. But then I also like tested a lot of things too. Whereas like, for a long time, I thought being male or being masculine meant being strong and being like a strong leader and kind of ruling things with a iron fist.
Yep.
And so I was like really gun-ho about, hey, be extremely disciplined and get X, Y, and Z done. But then, and that was like the old me, and I think now I'm just kind of like learning to kind of chill out a little bit more and learning that, hey, that's like, not everybody operates that way. And if you try to force that onto people, I think people can be turned off to that. And so Yeah, I've chilled out a lot more, but yeah, like I've had a very non-traditional route when it comes to like learning about manhood and masculinity, especially when it comes to like Asian stuff. Yeah, like I didn't grow up with like any of that.
I'm sure for all Asian boys growing up, the way we were raised, specifically, it's like you said, just to be a man, get over it. You get hurt,
Yeah.
rub some dirt on it. You're not supposed to show emotions. Emotions are weakness. You're not supposed to cry or anything like that. And then as we grew older, I mean, me specifically, I'm sure for probably other people too, with the whole trend of mental health being a more acceptable to talk about, especially in the United States. If you look at other cultures, probably not so much. Just why it kind of, yeah, I don't want to get into that right now, but
Yeah.
but yes, in the United States at least, everything is becoming more acceptable. Therapy itself, because back then psychology they would call it like a clown, like a scientific part of it. Well, I don't want to say clown, but people would laugh at it.
Yeah.
Psychology wasn't a real thing.
Right.
But now, as we get older, as things are evolving, I realize emotions are okay. It's okay to show.
Yeah.
And that's part of like the whole trend that's going on right now. Because as a kid, we didn't really show any of that. So yeah, I think that's where we're at in that field, and hopefully it still evolves, or keep moving forward.
Yeah. And like for me, I think the biggest thing for me is I think right now, I think masculinity is under attack, right?
Oh.
But there's this idea that like masculinity is bad, but I don't know, like because I got to pick and choose, that's why I say I've got the privilege to pick and choose like what was manly to me. And I learned a lot from it. Like I think it's like generally like at the core of it, not a terrible thing. It's like pretty
To be
good.
masculine, to be
Yeah,
masculine.
yeah.
Of course.
Because like at the core of it, it's just hey,
Yeah.
holding your own, and it's and being able to kind of do your best to take care of your family. And maybe it's like bad for me because now I'm like going above and beyond trying to do that, where over my own capacity. How do you feel about Dani? Because like you hear from two men
Yeah.
about our experience with masculinity. How did you, as a girl, right? And you got brothers.
I have,
Yeah.
I
So
have
what's
3
your take on
brothers.
that? And like, were your brothers treated differently? Were the expectations for them different? And
Absolutely. I think, and that's the funny part because my brothers, they were definitely treated, and I didn't really notice a difference until I got older, right? I don't think
Yeah.
it was a problem, kind of like you with Lauren right now with the boyfriend situation, right? Where it wasn't a concern until after puberty when my parents are like, oh shit, she could get pregnant now.
Yeah.
This is where we start treating her differently, right?
yeah,
But growing up, my parents, I ran with the boys. I dumped
Yeah.
dirt. I jumped off the roof.
Heck
You know,
yeah.
I did all these things.
Yeah.
And so my parents allowed me to be that kid,
yeah,
right? Without saying like, oh, she's gonna get hurt. Mostly because they had so much going on in their life that, they couldn't keep an eye on every single child. And so I would ride bikes with my brothers, my neighbors, we would play kickball and dodgeball and we'd roughhouse and all that, right?
Yep.
So I think I learned that not masculinity is okay, but I learned that being a tomboy is okay.
Yeah.
Right. And later in life, that's when I became girlier. That's when I
Yeah.
liked wearing dresses and makeup, and that's when I cared about it. But that's also when I started noticing my parents treated me differently because my brothers were allowed to do things that I wasn't, right?
Right.
They were allowed to go out and
Yep.
with their friends and do things. And my brothers were allowed to drive. As my sisters, we were allowed to drive only during the day. And we had to be at home at night. They could have girlfriends and we couldn't have boyfriends. Things like that. So yeah, it didn't change until after puberty,
yeah.
which is valid.
And what is your current take on like masculinity now? Like, and I guess like you being a single person, like, are you looking for like,
A masculine guy, super macho.
yeah, like,
Oh man.
because I think this is gonna help our audience, right? Because like I think a lot of like men now are kind of like how do I choose this, and do I need to choose, right? Because I think there's a way to kind of do both.
Right.
Right.
Maybe just take a little balance of each.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times where you have to be masculine, and there's other times where it's okay to be emotional.
Yeah.
You know, for me specifically, I mean, when I watch like movies or whatever, shed a tear here and there, and then what actually really helped me as a kid too, you watch all these shows, animes and stuff. Because you watch your favorite character, they show that emotional side too, and it's like, oh, I guess it is okay to. I mean, and they're the protagonist, they're the strongest in the whole show. Just like if whoever watched Solo Leveling, there's that one scene where he started crying his eyes out because his mom woke back up. So yeah.
And Solo Leveling is an anime, right?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I think what Cam said, you need a balance between feminine and masculine energy. And I think we all carry that, right?
Yeah.
And that's not to say feminine energy is being girly, liking the color pink,
Yeah.
but it's that being vulnerable, allowing yourself to feel emotional and saying that's okay,
Yeah.
right? That's feminine energy. And that's why I think a lot of men think, oh, stop being a girl when you're in that part. But it's okay because feminine energy is allowing yourself to receive. And that's
Right.
all
Okay.
it is, right? And so we all carry all of that energy. If you break it down to energy, it is just, balancing between the two.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I think women, we are more emotional because we are able to express that.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't know. And you asked, what would I like as a single person, right?
Yeah.
And so I like a good balance, like Cam
Yeah.
said. If a guy is like too macho where he's like, oh, I'm not going to show feelings or anything
Yeah.
like that. I'm just like, okay, that's a pretty
Yeah, that
Red
can be
flag.
problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Or
Yeah.
because the thing is, it's not that he's unable to express emotions, but if he can't handle his own emotions,
Yeah.
he won't be able to handle mine.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Right? So
a good point.
I need you to be able to understand your emotions because I'm not going to take care of yours.
Yeah.
And that's the masculine part of me coming out,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
like, I need to stay masculine on my side to protect myself.
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah, if you lean into your feminine side, then
Yeah.
I don't have to
Right.
be so masculine. I can just be like, cool.
Right.
My man understands that he is human and he has emotions.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. You can kind of pick and choose when you need to be one of the other.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's like really good insight too, because like, yeah, and I think that's like why we wanted you on the podcast, because we could sit here and talk about what it means to be a man and our experiences, right? But like also like, what you as a sister or a daughter, like what are your experiences growing up and how has it affected you?
Right.
And where's your thought process? So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
No,
Yeah.
thank you guys. I want to get your take on it because you've
Oh,
been
okay.
married to Barb for
Yeah.
how many years now?
Was it like 8?
We've been together since we were 15.
Dang.
34 now. It's like 18. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so how do you balance the masculine, feminine energy in your dynamic in your relationship? After 18 years.
Yeah, and it's been it's been constantly changing. And we've been constantly like redefining that, right? I think there were times because we grew up together. So when I was 16 years old, I was a different person than I am now. So it's just, and I think we talked about this on a previous episode, but it's just understanding each other's strengths and weaknesses. There were things that I was like better about when I was 20 years old that maybe I'm less better about now in my 30s. And there were things that she's better about when she was, and so it's always a constant learning and relearning where, and I think you asked that earlier, where it's just like, how do I best complement my significant other? And I think at its core, I think being a man in a relationship, I think just means trying to be there for my significant other and trying to, I I guess not problem solve, because I can see, I've learned that I don't need to always problems. I don't need to always solve her
You just gotta be
problems for her.
supportive.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I think it's tough to define. I would say like the one constant is that I think we're both, as long as we're both contributing and being open-minded and learning about each other's like strengths and weaknesses. Yeah, because like I said, I'm such a different person, and she's such a different person today than we were like 15 years ago. And sometimes those personalities don't mix. As we grow up, like, it could be a subtle change, or it can be a big change just from like one year to the next. And now you have to try to adapt to each other's like, and because there were times where I think, she was a certain way or I was a certain way.
Right.
But I don't know. Does that kind of answer your question? I know, like, I kind of like danced around it and I didn't give anything specifics.
No,
but
it
like,
does.
that was just kind of, like, oh, well, okay, well, we'll talk about this. Like, there was a time where she was she was financially supporting me.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? There were, and, part of me, just because I was in, I was, doing whatever, and I was trying to figure out where I needed to be financially. There was a point where she held me down.
Yeah.
And I never felt a certain way, or I never felt emasculated about that. And there were times where I took care of her financially. We made a decision when we had children that she would be a stay-at-home. And so I continued working. And so, these are decisions we made together, and I never felt like, it's not that I never felt, okay, it's, I had to realize or learn that we made this decision together, for the benefit of our relationship and the benefit of our children, and that her role right now is not to bring in income.
Fair.
Right. Yeah. And because, it's not an automatic thing. Right. There was, because when you first started, you're kind of like, well, maybe I need to make all of the decisions financially because I'm bringing it in. Well, no, because like we decided together that she's not going to work for a little bit. But yeah, and it's an ongoing conversation, and we're not a perfect couple. We fight a lot. Cam knows us. We fight a lot.
As do all couples.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
right.
and every fight, and then we continue to learn things. Shoot, we fought like yesterday. We fought the day before that, and the day before, this whole week we've been fighting.
You're humans.
Yeah,
Right, that's
and
the thing.
so it's a constant,
And it's not even the fight that is the issue, right? It's how you resolve
Yeah,
the fight
yeah.
and come back from that. So
Oh, for sure.
that brings you back so much stronger.
I don't know. It's been an ongoing thing. I don't know, Cam. How about you? I've been.
What about your relationship? How do you balance the masculine, feminine energy between you and Kelly?
I feel like for our relationship, we've changed certainly since, when we first met back in 2012. But I don't think we've changed too much. We just have so much things in common, where everything we do it, and we enjoy everything. Whether it goes to, traveling, and anime is a big thing, and we love all the same food, which I'm super lucky that she cooks, and all the food, for us, we love food. Food is a big thing in our life. So the fact that she knows my palate too. So every time she cooks something, she knows what to put in there. I like my food extra spicy and all that good stuff. But yeah, in terms of masculinity, I feel like she just wants me to be masculine when I have to be, whether that be defending her or whatever when we're in public. But then she also has that trait as well. Whenever we go out to eat, I have a very, very hard time telling the waiter or waitress that they got my order wrong. I have such a hard time. I can't do it. I avoid confrontation to the max, unless I have to be. I have to defend her. Maybe if someone yells at her on the street or something like that, then yeah. But then when it comes to food, or when it comes to saying someone got my order wrong, she is that person that will be like, hey, he ordered this, he didn't order that. Can you take it back, or can you remove it from the menu? I'm like, you didn't have to do that. But in my head, I'm like, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's so true. Like, cause I'm not that way at all.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like whatever. And I remember, we did, and Barb did something similar, and I was just kind of like, that was rude, how she treated the waiter. But I was like, in a way, like, I guess, like, I just don't have the ability. She has the ability to kind of stand up for herself. And I've learned to appreciate that. But at first, I was like, "That's rude." But
I feel like
she's also right.
Yeah, there's a line. Yeah. There's a line between telling them, "Hey, you got my order wrong," or there's some people. I mean, I've seen it. I mean, I'm so glad Kelly doesn't. I hate this. Don't snap at people. I've seen people do. I'm like, I would not bring you food at all. Don't do that to me.
Yeah.
But there's a line between being rude. And because you're the customer, you're the paying customer. You should get your correct order. And me, I'm just like, I order iced tea. I mean, I'll eat it, and they'll come back. Is everything okay? I'm like, thank you, it's good. I mean, maybe that's just one of the things I need to work on myself. But Kelly's there, and we each have our strong sides. Kelly's there to do that for me. I'll help with other stuff. So that's just one of the things. I mean, but then again, me growing up also, I've always had kind of like a hard time. Even ordering my food from Subway. My sister always did it for me. I'm the youngest in my family. My siblings did a lot of things for me.
Yeah.
I love that.
It depends on the situation. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more masculine, a little bit more macho. Other times, it's okay to show your emotional side.
Yeah.
Every time we watch movies, every time we watch anything that's sad, like Click. That movie, I thought it was going to be a comedy. Why was the movie so sad? And then Kelly would always look over at me. Oh. I'm like, I know she's going to she's looking at me. And all of a sudden, a tear comes like, damn it. I was like, she just saw me. And then she just stares. I'm like, watch the movie. Why are you watching me cry? It's all situational. Sometimes you have to be a little more macho. Other times, it's okay to show emotions. It's healthy. Now that, as we grew older, I realized it is healthy. Sometimes you might need a good cry.
Yeah.
It releases a lot of tension, a lot of stress. It just makes you feel way better. And a lot of people don't realize that right now, where you if you can't show your emotion, you can't cry. It's just so much tension built up in your body. And crying is actually the releasing of tension.
Right. So here's something for you. When was the last time you cried?
Man, let me think.
And
like
for
cry,
all,
cry?
For everybody too, or for you guys.
Well, the last time I cried was probably a movie. I don't know.
Specific movie?
I don't remember, but it had to be like 3 weeks ago. I don't know. I mean, whenever there's a scene with like a dad dying or something, I get really emotional about that.
Yeah.
Because my dad passed, and also for some reason I'm really into like One Piece. One of my favorite animes ever, and I'm invested in all the characters. And whenever something bad happens, and then I just shed a couple tears here and there, and then I'll just have to get up from the TV, kind of go blow my nose, and then I don't think Kelly knows. Yeah. She might know now, but I'm like, I'm gonna get some and drink. I just go there, blow my nose, and then wipe it. I'm like, okay, I'm
back. How about you, Dani? When was the last time you cried?
When was the last time I cried? I don't remember.
Yeah. Dang, you're like tough.
Yeah. No, I'm not tough. That's the thing.
Hey, you don't have to mask it here, man. Come on.
That's the thing. I don't remember the last time I cried. Not that I don't cry, because I'm a crybaby, right?
Yeah.
I will cry over anything. And I just don't remember. See, the things that make me cry are typically anything involving my family.
Yeah.
And people I care about, right?
Yeah.
But watching movies and things like that, I'll cry, but it has to be...
It has to be like a little bit relatable.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I'll cry over movies. Like, I cried over a dog movie. Because, like, I love my dog, right? But then I relate it to, like, that shit, like my dog passing. And that's when I'm like, oh, I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
But... I don't know. Maybe it's time. Maybe I'm due for some crying.
Yeah. Oh man. You're like,
I'm like,
you're probably more masculine than me and Cam. Yeah.
No, I will cry, and that's the thing. I allow myself to cry. Yeah. When things are sad, I do feel very, very sad. I feel it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I'm due for a good cry. Sometimes I do. You have that feeling where you're like, dang, I could really cry right now.
I know what you mean. There's
like I haven't cried in a long time.
Me and Barb used to schedule my cries. So there's like a series of movies that like that would just get me going.
Yeah.
And so
What are
like
those? When was the last time you cried?
dude, I cry all the time. Dude, dude I hit like a freaking like Instagram algorithm, right? And it's just like of sad stuff, and I'm just like, oh fuck.
Okay.
Then I just sit there scrolling for like an hour where I'm just like in tears the whole time. And so, but yeah, like movies get me, everything get me. I would say like, shoot, it's probably like, you know, what I've realized is like, what I'm realizing is that I don't have great emotional regulation. When I'm mad, I'm mad. When I am sad, I'm sad.
Yeah.
Everything comes out.
What do you mean it's not like you don't have good emotional regulation?
I guess like I'm not good at like
I feel like when
stuffing
you
it.
yeah when
I
you
don't
feel
know.
one emotion, it just skyrockets, right?
Yeah,
Where you can't
yeah.
control it, you can't bring it back down.
Yeah.
When you see a red, it's just red, and
Yeah.
it's just
And when I'm in
Yeah.
cry mode, I'm in cry mode. If I'm upset, I'm upset. If I'm in like a lovey mode, like I'm like full on, you know, which probably isn't great too. Probably stems from some deep rooted whatever. But yeah, like I cry a lot. Like there's like movies. Oh, dude, like we would Cinderella Man or Walk to Remember. We had like all these movies that we would go through. Dude, Lilo and Stitch. Dude, I'm super excited about like the live action one. I hope it's really good because live actions Disney movies has been sucking, but the old one back in the day, I remember being in the movie theater and tearing up over that. Yeah, so like everything.
So you're
I get
pretty
into it.
emotional and you allow yourself.
Yeah,
to be.
yeah.
That's
Like
dope.
I'm all, but I mean, it's to the point where it can be
I have
problematic.
a question
Yeah.
then. Has it always been like that, or did you have to learn to be?
No, for me, it's always been like that because like
Really?
I was an angry kid, and
Okay.
and like I cry when I'm angry too, and so it's like what I realize is just like like I just don't have the ability to regulate emotions, good or bad.
yeah.
And so, but it was, you know, I think when Barb used to see me cry, like in the beginning of the relationship, I think she used to go, oh, this guy's like really sensitive and like really in tune with his emotions. But now she's just kind of like, ugh, again?
It's like, again?
Yeah.
This
Even
guy's
my kids, even my daughters are like, dad's crying again.
I was like, oh,
Aw.
he opened the floodgates.
Yeah. But like, so I don't know. I don't know. I'm starting to think it's like something I need to figure out, but you know.
That's definitely something to process with your therapist about, right?
Yeah.
Of like why overwhelming feelings cause you to have this physical sensation, right? Such as crying. Because, and I don't know, right? So you can definitely explore it with your therapist of, you know, anger, sadness, all of those feel, even happiness, where you're feeling lots of happiness causes you to cry. Talk about it with your therapist.
Yeah.
It could be rooted in something, or it could just be, you know, just lots of feelings, and that's how you let it out.
Yeah. And so I don't know. Like I said, I sometimes like I'll schedule it. Maybe it's time for you to. I'll send you some of my algorithms, like some of my Instagram algorithms. Like I said, I'll scroll through it, and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
That's so funny. What
Yeah,
about you?
there is an actual thing. People do schedule time to cry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some people will have like a playlist, sad songs. Just go there. I need a good like 10-minute cry.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't do that. Maybe I should. But I have read about it. I've heard about it from some people. But yeah, I feel like to your question earlier, have we always processed our emotions this way? No, not me. When I was a kid, I wasn't a particularly angry kid or anything like that, but I never really showed emotions at all. I never cried at movies when I was younger at all, actually. And then as I got older, I realized I'm more in touch with my emotions. I don't know how that happened. Maybe because I went to the mental health field. I don't know. But I do now, you know, starts to, you know, when I watch movies or if I see something that's particularly sad, that's when I realize. Because before I would try to block it, you know, and it worked successfully. I would never shed a tear for basically anything, but now it's like the smallest thing that's you know has to do with family getting broken up, a parent passing or something, and then for me I have that empathy emotion, whatever, you know, when you see when you see someone cry, you cry with them, and I was like, oh man, because I went to a funeral before, and it was like it was a friend's parent passing, and I didn't know the parent that well. It was a good friend of mine, and he started crying, and then I felt that, so I started crying too. I was like, what is going on? And then I didn't think I needed to. I was like, okay, give me this box of tissue. And it just kept going. And then it's because you see someone that you deeply care about, and they start crying, and you don't even know the
feel
person that
that.
passed, and you feel it too, and all of a sudden it's like, damn.
Yeah.
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 That that empathy piece. That's absolutely what I feel in
Yeah.
sessions with my clients, where if they're deeply broken, I can feel it, and I'm just like, oh, my heart aches for you.
Yeah.
Right. Like, how do I care for you? And sometimes when my clients talk about heartbreaks or like relationships ending or just anything that's deeply sad, I'm just like, how do I hold your pain for you?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
a moment. So it is sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really admire how you both allow yourselves to really feel
Yeah.
your feelings.
I don't know if it's something I can control, so I don't know if it's something I did intentionally, but yeah.
But now
it's-
you're making it. You can turn it to intentional. You do, because you
Yeah.
have scheduled cries.
Oh yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
intentional. I used to do that when I was in school. I remember it wasn't scheduled crying
Yeah.
time. Okay, it was like
Yeah. But yeah,
it
you
was
just
scheduled-
pop on a movie
Nah, it
and
was
you're just
scheduled
like,
like feel sorry for myself kind of time, where it's
Yeah.
like I give myself 30 minutes to do nothing, where I'm like, okay, from 8 to 8:30 I'm not gonna have anything, and I would just be in my feelings, and I'd be like, damn, I hate where I was.
Yeah.
And it would just turn into tears, and I'm like, okay, this is just scheduled crying
Yeah.
time then.
yeah, and then you just, I mean, like, you have to allow it too. It's like, because like I said, like when I hit that algorithm and it's like one video, and then I'm like,
No.
all right, let me feel this all the way through, watch it, and then you just keep going, and you specifically go until you find another one, and you're like, all right, yeah. But
That's
yeah, it's something I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's something I want to work on or explore. I don't know. It's just
I don't know. I feel like for me, I just let it happen. I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to get into it more than what it already is.
Yeah.
I think I'm at a healthy stage where I can
Yeah.
just kind of let emotions flow or let things go. I mean, other people out there maybe might need to work on it more. I mean,
Yeah.
not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but
Yeah.
you have to be able to allow yourself these different emotions that are part of the human experience. You can't always be macho or angry or all of that. I mean, that's why that's just part of the whole emotional spectrum. You have to be able to do all of that.
What I would say is like what I would need to control is like I think the anger part, because like I just let everything comes out. Like when I'm sad, but also when I'm angry, and then it's like, all right, well, what I did for a long time was I just bottled that, and and I don't know, maybe I need to get back into just bottling that,
Well, because anger, if you look at it, it's a secondary feeling,
Yeah.
right? So
Okay.
anger is actually justified. Anger tells us when your boundaries are crossed, when someone there's injustice,
Yeah.
so when you've been wronged,
Yeah.
right? That's what anger means. And so you have to look at it. Is it because you're frustrated? Is
Yeah.
it because something happened? What's happening in your world, in your internal landscape and external landscape,
Yeah.
right? Because you don't just sit there and you're like,
Oh, I'm gonna be angry.
I'm gonna be,
Yeah.
There's a reason why you're angry.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's just why sometimes I get annoyed a little bit. It's like, oh, why is he always so angry? Or not me specifically, but other
Yeah.
situations from when I see other people, I'm like, well, I'm sure there's a reason why he's angry. He doesn't just wake up, I want to be angry today.
Yeah.
So like, because if someone lashes out or crash out, you have to kind of think about it and view it from the other perspective too. Why did they lash out? Is there a
Yeah.
specific reason? I mean, but I am sure that there are those individuals that it might be, it's just for no reason. I'm sure there is, but I'm just saying for the most part, most people have a reason to be angry.
Yeah.
So
It
Yeah.
stems from somewhere, the anger.
Okay.
So
What-
it's frustration, irritation,
Yeah.
any of those.
What are something? Sorry, I don't mean
No,
to just
no,
be
no, no.
hijacking this, but
Please.
like, what are some insecurities that like when it occurs, like it just kind of gets you frustrated? Like for me, I would go like what I realize is like when like the feeling of being an idiot or inadequacies. Like starting this podcast, there's been a lot of learning curve.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's like a lot of like tech stuff. I'm not like a really tech guy. I'm not great at that stuff. So anytime like I come and hit a crossroad, there's a lot of feeling of, damn, like I can't figure this thing out. And then that's where I feel like frustration. But then like I realize, I mean, I have to like work through that frustration and then just troubleshoot and try to resolve it. But like for sure, like I don't know, like anytime there's like tech stuff, like as a dude, like I always try not to be like stereotypically very like brawny and broy. I also acknowledge what I'm not good at is reading, writing, and like tech stuff. And so then anytime I hit a tech stuff or a issue, it just like reinforces this idea that, oh, I'm kind of a dumbass, you know?
No,
and then it like makes
not
me,
at
and then
all.
it brings out like frustration which eventually leads to like anger.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys have anything like
Absolutely.
specific? Like
I totally hear you when you're saying all that because, yeah, there's a level of frustration that comes with the learning curve of learning something new.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Which I should just acknowledge that, yeah,
Like,
there's
you're
going to
learning.
be learning curve. But then when it comes to like specifically techie stuff,
Fair.
yeah, like for me, it's just like, because
I'll say-
I think I've always been seen as a brute.
Right.
And so I don't want to be like.
Pheng used to be a bodybuilder, y'all.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He just
Yeah, I don't
pounded
want to
his
be
way
that.
through everything.
No, that is how I've gone through life. Is like I just pound through it head first.
Yeah,
And-
we need to get like a poster of you
Yeah.
up here.
Yeah.
Just your days when you
His
get to
highlights.
compete.
and so like I don't want to be a brute, and I don't want to be seen as that.
Yeah. Well,
And so-
but then you are doing very, very well with the tech stuff, though. So I do want to point that out.
I don't know. Those
Yeah,
first two
you're-
episodes would say otherwise.
No, it's learning. It's all learning,
Yeah.
learning
It's
curve,
learning.
learning opportunity. But look, you're doing it now. Everything's working great. Everything's
Yeah.
perfect. Look at the whole setup.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out. Yeah, you're doing well, my friend.
Look at
You guys
Kam
are
being
great.
such
Yeah,
a great
yeah.
co-host and
Yeah.
encouraging.
Well,
But you
what
are
about
doing
you guys
amazing.
though? What about like?
I don't know. I mean, not anything in my personal life. I would say I don't really get too angry too often. I would say if I see videos or something where it's just kind of it just makes me. Kelly has this thing where she sees something that gets her mad and she wants to show me so I can get mad too. I'm like, don't show me that. It's a Friday and it's 8 a.m. I haven't had my coffee. I don't want it to ruin my day.
Yeah.
Especially, I was super upset, especially during the whole COVID era where they were attacking, old Asian people. Oh my God, I can't watch those videos because I get so freaking angry and it ruins my day.
Yeah.
But we do need to be able to expose ourselves to that stuff because at one point I did believe in blissful ignorance where what I don't know don't hurt.
Yeah.
However, you do need to
It's the key to
confront
happiness.
that. Yeah, it
No,
really
just
is,
kidding.
man. Because I was like, I don't want to know these things, but there are some things that you have to know and you have to confront. Probably real world stuff, which we probably don't want to get into that right now. But
Yes, we do.
maybe yeah. But yeah, man. I mean, there isn't anything specific. I mean, I get angry when I do a bad playing video games, but that's just kid stuff, and that's it. Nothing else really. It's just mainly if I see something on the internet that's really, really annoying or bugging me, racism, sexism, that type of stuff. It just, I don't know. It just makes me mad.
Yeah.
And then I try to, just flip it to something else and try to maybe watch TV. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you,
Absolutely.
Danny?
Yeah,
What gets you riled up? Yeah.
man. I guess I'm just not. I do get emotional. That's the thing, and I don't remember what would get me riled up. Like sometimes, if people are peopling and they're doing dumb shit, that's the thing. I want to be in control of everything at all times, right? And so I'll get frustrated driving when this is one thing that gets me pissed off, right? If I'm going 70, 75 on the fast lane and you end up going 60 to
Oh,
65 cruising on the fast lane,
Yeah. Yeah, that's a passing lane. You got to move out the way, man.
I get mad when people are driving too fast behind me.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
remember, they're on your ass for a reason. What
Yeah,
are you doing?
yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I know, but it's like one lane. Like, yo, chill.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I'm already going 10
funny.
above speed limit.
Oh, yeah.
Relax.
Okay, that makes
fair.
sense.
That
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
if you're going 10 above the speed limit
Yeah.
already and it's one lane and
Yeah.
I'm riding your ass, that's on me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you're going 60 and the speed limit's 65,
Oh man.
I'm gonna ride your ass.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna so like little things like
Okay.
that will get me pissed off. But like generally I try to find the compassion
Okay.
of why people get very upset or very
Okay.
angry.
Yeah, I feel
Right.
like as I grew older, I have been getting a lot better at that, where you kind of try to view it from their perspective.
Yeah.
Because I used to, I was like, look at this dumbass, what does he do? And I'm like, oh, and then for me specifically, whenever I do, I don't have road rage as bad as my wife does, but
Yeah.
but
It's an Asian driver,
Yeah,
yeah.
female Asian driver.
yeah,
Yeah.
but then because I would never honk ever, I'd never
Oh,
honk. Kelly
yeah.
honks.
Really,
No.
Kelly would
I-
honk any opportunity she get, and then sometimes she'd be like, "Damn, I just missed the best opportunity to honk. I should have honked." I'm
You
like,
know-
you don't
Kelly,
need to do
I
that,
love
but
you.
yeah,
I've learned to honk
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't honk, now you're just projecting
Mm-hmm.
that anger onto your passengers. Because if you don't honk, now you're gonna turn to whoever's sitting in your passenger and go, "Fuck
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that guy," yada yada. When you could have just honked and projected your anger towards that
Mm-hmm.
person driving, and but now you're like,
I would honk once in a while. Again, it's very rare. Okay, the only time I probably would honk if it's a green arrow
Yeah.
and the person hasn't moved
Yeah.
for like 3, 4, 5 seconds, whatever. Because a green arrow, those things are really, it's,
Yeah, yeah.
you
My
just have to
thing
go.
about it is, if you're not, and I see, this is where I'm like, I'm an asshole. I know it. If the light turns green and you're still sitting there, if you're not inching already, like this is, I pay attention to the
Yeah.
lights around me, not just my light, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because if the lights
Yeah.
crossing are yellow,
Yep.
and it's
That
gonna
means-
turn,
yeah.
so
Get
that
ready.
means you should be going.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I
Yeah.
have been that person where the light turns green and I didn't go, and
You're on
someone
your
honked
phone?
at me, and I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
oh my god, why are you so upset? Like,
Yeah.
calm
Yeah.
down.
yeah,
So yeah, obviously
Yeah.
the world revolves around me, right? And that's our own narratives of
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, the world does revolve around me. I'm the main character.
Yeah.
We're all the main characters in our own
Yes.
stories, right?
You should be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
How about okay, so not
well,
something that gets you angry,
Yeah.
but just like insecurities.
oh okay,
Because
yeah.
like I talked about like my insecurity.
Now Peng wants
Yeah,
to
I want to hear. I
he
was
wants to feel
vulnerable.
better.
Okay, like
he
okay.
wants to feel better
Yeah.
now.
Well, insecurities. Let me think. I don't know. That I might need to think on this one because
Cam is just so perfect, so he has no
Yeah.
insecurities. But
I'm sure I have a lot. I just need to think about what I'm insecure about and maybe what I would like to share too. I don't know. What were you doing? Yeah.
yeah, definitely a lot of my insecurities would, I think it wouldn't be anything externally, like body image wise or anything, but it's the lack of incompetency, kind of like
Okay.
you, right?
Yeah.
Where I'm going to feel embarrassed if people are like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. But then
Yeah.
I think about it and I'm like, no, actually, the things that I do know, I will talk about. And when
Yeah.
I don't know, I will admit it. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I actually don't know much about that topic. Or I'll say I have very little knowledge of that, but this is what my opinion is.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time when I express anything, it comes from my own personal experience. And so I feel confident in sharing my personal experience because it's like, were you there? Do you know my
Right.
experience? So other than that, I think that's when people can't invalidate me. But when I'm learning something and I
Yeah.
try to talk about it as I'm learning, I'm just like, I feel like such a fraud, like a fake.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah,
And so that's my insecurity of like
Yeah.
imposter syndrome.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
yeah. Oh,
Right?
for sure.
Yeah, I do have that too. Like I feel like, should I even be here? Like
Yeah.
even right now, should I even be on? Am I good enough to be here? I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's a lot of the I don't really care too much.
Yeah.
That's just why I'm sure I do have insecurities. I probably need to think about it more, but I have a lot of the I don't really care, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, I mean that might be a good thing. It might not be because then without
It's a superpower.
yeah. With,
It
well,
really
without
is.
insecurities, there isn't anything to drive me to get better either. So
Yeah.
I'm on a standstill where yeah, it's just yeah, maybe that's a bad thing.
No.
No,
Where-
it's
yeah.
a superpower
It's-
to not care, to
yeah.
genuinely not care.
And still
Yeah,
push past
yeah.
it, right?
Yeah. Because, like I said, like, well, like me doing the podcast and doing like my own business and stuff like that. Like, I think if I were to care more, it wouldn't have allowed me to do any of these things at all.
Yeah.
So, like, that ability to care less. I don't want to say I don't care at all, but like to care less has allowed me to just be more genuinely myself and come on to this podcast and say my, whatever,
I think the care is that we don't care about what people are saying negatively because they're not out here putting themselves in this position, right? But the positive feedback, the reinforcements, thank you for sharing. I'm gonna say from my personal experience, right? When I put out videos of me being vulnerable and sharing that, hey, that I'm having a tough time going through this and I'm learning this and blah, blah, blah. People really appreciate that. And they send me these amazing messages and positive messages of thank you for sharing. Thank you for
you do a good job of that.
illuminating the light kind of stuff, right? I'm like, oh, that makes me feel good, right? And then people will also say negative things like, oh, who do you think you are, kind of things. And those are the things I don't listen to, right?
Yeah.
Because like, I could listen to that, but like I'd rather listen to the things that are benefiting people. And it's not that you're fake or anything, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well then, where are you with the negative, the person with the negative feedback?
Right.
What are you doing?
Right.
Okay, actually, I thought of one insecurity that I do have.
Yeah.
I am and was and I still am a big time stutterer.
Okay.
I stuttered a lot throughout
Yeah.
childhood, or even high school. I think I've gotten better at it.
Yeah.
But every now and then I would catch myself like, what the hell? Just say what you're trying to say, and I'll be like, duh, 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 duh. And then family and friends will always be like, hey, is that Kam talking? All here. Duh, 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 duh. I'm like, my god, I'm so annoyed. But yeah, I realized that was one of my big insecurities as a kid, and then I realized as I grew up, I kind of want to embrace it too a little bit. And also there are insecurities where you kind of get past it, because I know as a kid I was just an Asian kid, and then I'll see all these like makeup white people, and I thought they were like super cool and stuff. I'm like, I did have that feeling as a kid. It's like, damn, maybe I want to be white. Why am I,
Yeah.
And then as I grew, I was like, I'm very, very proud to be my heritage and our culture, our food, and all that. And it's a big deal. I mean, I love it now. But as a kid, you wanted to fit in with everybody else. And my last name is super long. Every time it's Kam Mahasa. I'm like, oh, they're getting to me again. And now I'm like, that's me. I'm the kid with the longest last name in the whole grade of every grade I've ever been to. And then they'll always call you. I'll be like, hey, how do you, I can't, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce your last name, whatever. So that was one when I was younger, but now as an adult, I fully embrace my heritage.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I would say, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I would say, like, I think that rejection of your culture and heritage is a natural, like, especially here in America, we live in a melting pot. I would say that's just like a normal part of like your growing up
We
process.
fighting depression. When you think about your life, you can't help but to stress it. Counting all your failures, but never counting your blessings. I've been feeling lost and I need a sense of direction. Cover up my pain with them bottles and prescriptions. It don't ever work, the next day won't know why I did it. Trying to fight this battle, but can't escape what I'm feeling. Hard to open up when you can't explain what you deal with. Hard times don't last, strong people do. Don't give up now, we'll be there soon.